Hey there, it's Jake from the Honest Gadget, and this is the XVX M67 JadeStone forged carbon mechanical keyboard. This is a 65% gaming keyboard that can be had for under $70, and after using it for about 3 weeks, I'm going to tell you if it's worth getting. Just to let you know, XVX sent this keyboard out for review, but all opinions are my own. I've also provided links in the description if you want to purchase this keyboard. First, I'm going to show you what you get inside the box. It's all pretty standard except for one item. There's the keyboard itself, a rubber cable for wired use and charging. There's a manual here as well, and you also get 3 stock switches since this is hot swappable. There's a brush, which I'm guessing is to just clean the keyboard, which I haven't seen in many boxes before. Lastly, you get a keycap and switch puller. To be honest, I was surprised this didn't come with any spare keycaps. Maybe XVX can add that in later versions. I really like the design of this keyboard. The forged carbon look mimics what actual forged carbon looks like, which is sort of a marbled look, which you can see that design across all the keycaps. The cherry profile keycaps themselves are made from polycarbonate as opposed to PBT, and are known as IMD Tech keycaps. Basically, from what I've read, the legends and forged carbon pattern are embedded inside the plastic rather than on the surface, which will help prevent any wear and tear on the prints. So that's pretty nice tech. The legends themselves are on the south side of the keycap, so they face you rather than being on top. They're also quite large, so it's really easy to read. This frees up the top space, and XVX decided to put a plus sign on all the keycaps, which is a nice design choice and literally mimics the plus sign you'd see on most mechanical switch stems, so that's kind of cool. I chose the smoke version because I think the RGB will even look better on a darker board. You can also get this in clear, blue and pink colorways. The funny thing is these colors refer to the color of the keycaps. The shell itself is white, and when it comes to the smoke version, the case is black. So yeah, keep that in mind in the future. Maybe you'll also want a black case, and then you can just change the keycap colors. The case itself is plastic and only weighs 595 grams, so it's really quite lightweight, but it does feel sturdy, and when applying pressure, there's no flexing or creaking. You can see on the side the keyboard slopes upwards towards the back, and if you want more of a typing angle, you can adjust the legs beneath. The 2.4 GHz dongle is actually stored behind the left leg here, which is something I haven't seen before. And you can switch between Bluetooth, wired, and 2.4 GHz wireless modes using the switch on the back. I primarily used the 2.4 GHz mode and found the connection reliable with no noticeable dropouts or any issues with latency. Okay, when it comes to typing, I think that's where this keyboard really excels, and I had a really pleasant experience. I really like the feel and sound this produces. It's definitely more of a marbly sound rather than thocky or clacky. Some keys sound slightly different, but that's generally due to their size and how sound resonates differently in smaller or larger spaces. Here's a bit of a sound test. This sound is created from a few components coming together. You got the pre-lubed XVX Ice Pro linear switches combined with the gasket mount and multiple internal dampening layers. You can see the switches themselves are completely polycarbonate, which allows light to travel through them, further enhancing the RGB effects. The Ice Pro switches feel smooth and relatively light, making them comfortable for both typing and gaming. The stabilizers also felt well tuned on my unit with no distracting rattles from the larger keys. If for some reason you're not a fan of the switches, you can always switch them out since this keyboard is hot swappable with most 3-pin or 5-pin MX style mechanical switches. Another big selling point of this keyboard is of course the RGB, which is quite amazing. You can use hotkeys primarily using the FN key to customize the color, patterns, brightness and speed if it's a moving effect, so there's a lot to play with. There are south-facing LEDs and they do a great job of illuminating the entire keyboard. The spacebar has what it looks like 5 LEDs, and the shift and other large keys seem to have more than 1 LED as well. So really all the space beneath the keycaps is being filled with light and it's pretty uniform. Just one small detail I noticed, when you have some RGB patterns on, the spacebar only lights up with the center LED. It doesn't really bother me, but if the whole keycap were to change color, that would be pretty cool. It seems like a firmware update could perhaps do that since all the hardware is there already. Whilst I am impressed with the RGB, I'm not sure if it's the brightest I've ever seen on a keyboard. I reviewed the Yunzi X98 a while back and that to me seems to be slightly brighter. I'm not complaining, it's just something worth mentioning if you want the absolute brightest RGB. This keyboard has a 4000 mAh battery which should last you a couple of days with RGB on and should be able to run the keyboard for weeks when the lighting is switched off. This keyboard also supports customization through VIA, which is pretty impressive to see at this price point. This allows you more customization than most proprietary proprietary keyboard software. It can be a bit tricky to set up, but once you do, it's pretty straightforward. You can remap any keys, set up macros, and probably most importantly for a 65% keyboard, create layers so you can essentially create all the functionality you can get on a full-sized keyboard. For me, the biggest loss in functionality is having no function keys. But you don't need to set up anything to use this though, as you can just use the hotkey that already works, which is the FN key plus any of the numbers for the corresponding function key. So anyway, for me, I think this keyboard is totally worth it. It justifies its budget price with well thought out design choices, great RGB, and a surprisingly refined typing experience. It's definitely suitable for gaming and everyday work as well. I like this keyboard so much that it's been my main board since I started using it 3 weeks ago. Sure, it doesn't have a super hefty aluminium construction, nor does it have double shot PBT keycaps, but I don't think that can really be expected at this price point considering its other features. And for what it's worth, the keyboard has done really well for the more limited materials it's made from. So yeah, if you're looking for a budget keyboard under $70, you like the way it looks, and you don't mind that it has a 65% layout, I don't think you'll be disappointed buying this. Anyway, that's my review. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this review, consider subscribing to the Honest Gadget. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one.